Moving on a little bit, we have Jerry Barkabill with us from Augustine Exploration. He worked alongside Mark and USI. Jerry, could you share some of those experiences with us?
Yes, I can share briefly with you, but if we can get Mark on, he would probably be a better source. But no, we work with Duke, and we specifically were looking at a relatively new development for our group in the I'll call it the Dean interval. It's it is a highly heterogeneous interval, about 100 feet with interbedded sandstone, siltstone, and shale. Permeability is generally less than 1 millidarcy. But we look to see what would the effective spacing be that we could drill this up on, and the work that was done did point us towards a spacing that we thought made sense. We were in this we were overlaying the old vertical wells in a field, and the model gave us a nice sorry,
are they? Okay.
Hello.
Sorry about that. We had someone. I don't know if they know that they were unmuted, but they were speaking to someone else. You can go ahead and continue.
Yes. Unique thing. One of the unique things about this field is that we were overlaying the horizontals across the legacy vertical wells, and the nice thing about the model is it gave us some a good summary of what the impact of those vertical wells would be, and specifically and just in general, it suggested to us that the impact did not take these wells down below our economic limits, and interestingly, we're able to drill these horizontals almost right over the footprint of the old legacy wells with good economic results. So we got spacing results, we got the results of the legacy vertical wells, and the interesting thing now is we're drilling our first infill wells at the spacing designed, and we'll go ahead and update the models with when we get the results across. So it's been a very helpful summary. We enjoyed working with Duke, and if we can get Mark back on, I think he might be able to add a little bit more color, but it was a very good outcome for us.
Say, guys, can you hear me at this point?
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, Jerry did a good summary there. I think our project is a bit unique in that we were drilling in an existing field. There were, in our study area, we had 19 vertical wells that had cumulative production of about 1.1 million barrels of oil out of a 2.5 section area. So we were concerned a little bit about depletion from those old legacy vertical wells. When we got involved with USI, we actually at that point had already drilled 2 horizontal wells in and amongst these vertical wells. And so we were able to provide Duke data on both the vertical wells and the 2 horizontal wells that we had drilled. And from that, he was able to generate a model that we think really reflected the reservoir parameters well. We had a lot of Schlumberger log analysis, petrophysical log analysis that we provided to Duke, and of course pressure data, frac data on the 2 horizontal wells. So he had a lot of data to work with, and yeah, we feel like we got, as I said, that we got pretty accurate representation of what we're dealing with here. So we actually have just finished drilling our first infill well. We have spaced it based on the USI model at a spacing of 4 wells per section. We fracked the well. We've not put it on production yet. We just finished fracking it. We did see a what I would call a minor frack hit on the immediate 1,320 foot offset horizontal well, but it already is starting to normalize and fall back down to its original curve. We also, on the new well, when we fracked it, we saw very close to original pressure indicated by the initial shut-in pressures and the frac gradients. So from that, I take that to indicate that we had a slight interaction with the original horizontal well, which you probably want to see so that you know that your fractures or your frac is getting over and encompassing the entire reservoir area. But the frac hit was not so severe, and the initial shut-in pressures being close to virgin pressure, I think indicates that our spacing is appropriate. So we saw a slight interference indicating that we're contacting all the reservoir or a majority of the reservoir, and yet we're not so close that we're getting a high FDI factor. So we're going to bring that well on this month, so we'll have a little bit more idea of how accurate the results are compared to the model. But that's where we are right now. We're pleased with the results so far.
Very good. So I'll ask the same question that I asked of Yoshi. So where were you before, and then where are you now after applying the workflow and the SPF?
Well, I would say before, we did not have really any close by analogies to look at. And so, you know, in trying to build a type curve, I was looking at data that was half a county away. And obviously that's not ideal. So we really were kind of shooting in the dark. And the two original wells that we drilled were actually located a mile apart from each other. So we were not worried about interference, obviously, on that spacing. So, you know, I would say that when we got in, and in fact, this is why we got involved with USI, is we had kind of a blank canvas at that point. We had drilled two horizontal wells a mile apart, in between several vertical producers. And we were trying to figure out, okay, with all these vertical producers having produced 1 million barrels of oil, what spacing do we need to go to here on the infill program? So I think it was very helpful from that standpoint. You know, we saw other operators half a county away going with much higher spacing. I shouldn't say higher, more dense spacing, more wells per section. We were concerned with that, obviously, because of the vertical wells that had been drilled around us. And so, yeah, the model, the USI model, indicates that from an economic standpoint, as Dr. Lee points out, we obviously could drill denser, but from an economic standpoint, we have settled right now on 4 wells per section. So.
Awesome.